Hey, we're live. I'm doing my we're live dance. Oh, goodness gracious. So yeah, let me try something real quick, because what I'm doing here is I've got this mic, which will go into Audacity, and then I've got this mic
right
for the streaming of the live.
Oh, okay.
Problem with this mic, I like this mic,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, it's got a volume control, and I never know.
Is that a Blue Yeti?
It is not. It's a fee-fine.
It looks like it.
Which,
Like
yeah,
a
it
Blue
does.
Yeti.
It does. And ultimately, I got it because I kept seeing I was looking into getting a Blue Yeti, but I kept seeing YouTube videos just all over the place. It's like, don't get a Blue Yeti, get this. It's cheaper and it's going to sound just as good. And so,
Okay, Terry says your volume sounds fine.
okay, cool.
She would have tapped into it on YouTube, so
yeah, YouTube. So it really matters. Okay, let me make sure this mic is on. There we go. And I need my.
Oh yeah, I need to turn Audacity on as well.
Check.
It's been a while. I hope there's no update.
It's been a while. Who is that?
Yeah, there's an update, but I'll skip it for now.
Is that Nickelback? It's been a while.
I'm not sure. I don't recognize more recent music, really.
Well, you're not missing anything when it comes to Nickelback.
Oh, well. They were popular for some reason. Somebody
they were.
Oh, man.
That's scratch my head. Why were they popular?
They're kind of the musical Rob Liefeld. Wow, somebody bought it.
That's right. Okay, where's my freaking comics, man? I can't find my comics.
Somebody uses that as a bumper on their show.
And I got the camera now over here, but you're over here.
So you're looking over here with it. That's
Where's
all right,
my
man.
Freaking Superman books. I suddenly can't find my Superman books.
They are underneath the charger for your earbuds. They're stacked up somewhere. Should
be under, yeah, probably.
Which is even funnier considering you're looking for a digital book, but
right.
We'll go with it.
Action. There we go. Oh, and of course I got to download it. So.
Yep. Wait a minute.
So anybody joining us live tonight, chime in, say hi, and we will say hi back, probably.
Or I'll say it now. Hi back.
Hi back. Holla back.
Not to be confused with Ryback. He was he a wrestler? Ryback? I don't know where I know that name from.
I don't know a lot about wrestling these days. See, that's why my name here says everything sucks. Come on, download now. I got the show notes ready. I just put two.
Right, I saw
2 stories. Here, that's all we have time for, especially since I'm delaying us. So, dad joke of the day. You ready?
Yep.
Shout out to my grandma. That's the only way she can hear me.
But
I get a dad joke of the day email.
Could the song be by Stained? Terry says
it could very well be by Stained. Yes.
Okay.
And probably is.
She has opportunity to sit in an office and with office people that turn on a newer radio station. So
well, it's like when I worked at Walgreens. That I know that song played like every 20 minutes.
Okay. Right.
Every time I would hear a song in when I was in the world and not at Walgreens, and it was something I would hear all the time at Walgreens, I'd go, "Oh, it's a Walgreens song."
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's one of them. All right. Well, this is not. This is going to take forever to download for some reason, and that's all right because I don't necessarily need the comic in front of me to talk about it. Of course, I can always pull it up here on the old desktop. See, we go an hour early and it just throws my entire life into. Oh, come on. Did I go away for a second?
It got freaky. Yeah. Well, you Skyped out is what I'm used to calling it, even though we're not on Skype.
Well, I'm not going to pull that up then on the computer because that's what's going to kill us. I wonder. I had to reinstall Comixology, so everything that I had downloaded I had to re-download, and I think that's what's happening is that still downloading all these other books.
All the other books in your library.
So I'm just going to cancel all those downloads. I promise, folks, we'll get started soon. So it was fun hanging out with y'all on Boom Addiction last night.
Cool. Yeah, it was good to see you there, man.
I was really excited when Chris started talking about this coffee shop, and it turns out it's just a big.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's for the best.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that particular situation did not sound like it was going to be a very positive one.
Yeah. Everything I own doesn't work very well. Oh, come on. Do. Okay, now it is downloading. Got a new hat.
I see that.
This is my Father's Day gift from my girls.
Yeah, I think you were sporting that the last time we recorded. I remember Father's Day gift being spoken of.
All right, well, you want to go ahead and just start this freaking thing?
Yep.
All right.
I'm good to go.
All right. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 60, The Gambling Racket in Metropolis. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
Howdy.
What's up? What's up, Ed?
Sup.
We had a tornado come through town today.
Did you? Seems like the majority of the country had some pretty wicked ass weather last night, night. So yeah.
About 3 o'clock. Well, it was actually 2:30 because I was on a work call, and my phone starts buzzing, and I happen to glance down, and I'm in the middle of giving a presentation. I look down and I see that it's a tornado warning, and it's saying seek shelter, and I'm like, all right, guys, I gotta go. Then the sirens start kicking off, and
okay,
yeah, I don't know if an actual tornado came through, but we have this big tree out in the front yard, and 2 really thick branches from coming out of the top they're just broken. Luckily, they're just hanging there. They're not going to fall on anything. There's nothing but ground underneath them. So
you did get some winds at the very least.
Heck yeah. That tree has been out there for hell longer than I've been alive. And
okay.
A big old wind comes along, starts tearing it up.
Either it was planted there with the house, or that may be the reason why the house is where it's at, is to take advantage of the tree, one or the other.
How you been?
Just doing the day-to-day thing, man. Just moving right along.
All right, well, let's talk about this story here. We're looking at The Gambling Racket in Metropolis. This appeared in Action Comics number 32, written by Jerry Siegel and art by Jack Burnley. Action Comics number 32 has a cover date of January 1940 with an approximate on-sale date of November 21st, 1940. Or I should say the cover date is January 1941. Approximate sale date of November 1940, according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics. Let me tell you what happened in this story. After saving a man from a suicide attempt, Superman, as Clark Kent, confronts the mayor about the Preston Club, which is a gambling den. When they arrive, the evidence is hidden from view, leaving Preston free from charges. Lois goes undercover to get into the club and gather evidence. When the owner learns she is a reporter, she is forced to drink poison, which leaves her a zombie. In her zombie state, Lois sees Superman change into Clark Kent. Only by using mental hypnosis is Superman able to cure Lois. Fortunately, though, she recalls nothing that happened while drugged. Superman then smashes the gambling ring and uses the crypto ray gun to gather evidence. The mayor was involved as well because his son was turned into a zombie by Preston. Superman cures the boy and brings the guilty parties to justice. Ed, what'd you think about this one?
I think that I read the wrong story.
Did I?
No, I read Action 34.
Oh yeah, well, that's ahead of us.
Apparently, yeah. I'm not sure how I made that mistake, but I did. I
see.
Did.
That's my horrible night that I'm having somehow reached back into time, and caused you to read the wrong story.
And I should have realized it because what I read puts me a lot farther in this Golden Age compendium than I really should have realized that I was, seeing as how we just got into it last episode. So I'm like, you know, it's like, how are you halfway through it already when you just read the first story? Yeah. So let me, and what is it? 8 number 1? Yeah. Okay. So I'm finally in the right place here. Yeah. So I apologize. I am totally and completely unprepared because I read both. Both of these were the wrong one. I read 34 and 9-1. So,
well, let me kind of go through it here. This one was, when I read the title of this story, the gambling racket in Metropolis, right away I was like, another, freaking mob thing going on, gambling. And on the surface, that is what it is. Superman is very upset. He thinks gambling is just the worst thing in the world. It kills people's souls, and it's just a huge sin. And he's going to put an end to it in Metropolis because apparently it's illegal in Metropolis. They're not supposed to be gambling.
Okay,
but the reason he finds out that there's this gambling den is because this guy is going to commit suicide. He's going to jump off a bridge. And Clark shows up and he tries to get this cop. He starts yelling at this cop, basically, why don't you do something? And the cop's like, hey, we're doing our best here. He's going to jump or he's not going to jump. And the guy jumps. And as he jumps, he's yelling out, I want to die, which is probably a good thing to yell when you're committing suicide.
Oh, well.
Superman leaps down and catches him, though I swear to God he's flying at this point. He just has to be.
Right.
But he saves him, finds out that the guy basically is broke. He lost all their money. He's married with kids, and he lost their life savings gambling at this place called the Preston Club, which is a social club in Metropolis. And so Superman decides, well, the Preston Club has to go. But instead of just doing what Superman normally would do, which is just run down to the Preston Club and just bust it all up and break everything and throw people out of windows, he decides to try to do it through official channels first. And first he goes to, who is this he goes to first? The chief of police.
Okay.
And he's like, the gambling is illegal in Metropolis, and yet they're apparently just gambling all over the place in the Preston Club. And the chief of police, his response is, why bother me? I'm helpless to act without instructions from the mayor, which is what you want out of your chief of police, who just literally will not do anything unless the mayor instructs him to do it.
Tells him to, yeah.
Yeah. So he goes to the mayor, and demands that the mayor do something about it. And the mayor he's shocked. He's appalled. Oh my gosh, this can't be happening. I'll tell you what, how about we go and raid the club now? I'll lead the raid. And when they get down there, there's no evidence at all that there has been any gambling. And Clark feels embarrassed and he leaves, but he knows that there's gambling going on. So he goes back. Well, he follows the mayor dressed as Superman, follows the mayor who's driving back to his office, and we get a hanging Superman.
I was going to say, it looks like a hanging. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, look at the S on the back of his cape. I think this is the first time the S, it's basically, on his chest, the S is red because it's a blue shirt. And now they're drawing the S blue on his red cape. I don't think they've done that before.
I don't think I've noticed it either.
But he's hanging outside the mayor's office, and he hears a phone conversation between the mayor and this guy, Preston. And you find out that the mayor is in Preston's back pocket. So Clark goes to the Daily Planet and says, we got to do something about this. So both he and Lois go to check it out. But, of course, Clark's being a big coward. He doesn't want to go in. And the Preston guy comes out and shoves him. And Lois is like, you got to, we got to go back in. And Clark says, but I don't dare go back and slug him. He's liable to attack me again. And so Lois dresses up in this slinky green outfit, and she calls many friends to try to get somebody to take her to the Preston Club as their date. And when she finally finds somebody who will take her, can you get me into the Preston Club? You can? Fine. I don't know why she reacted that way, but the guy takes her into the club. They immediately give her chips. I didn't know that was the thing, but she didn't have to put any money down. She just walks in, and the guy at the roulette wheel says, hey, here's a bunch of chips, and gives her a bunch of chips. So she starts laying bets down, and she loses all of her chips. And the guy's like, all right, you owe us money now. And she goes, oh, guess what? I don't have any money. Ha ha. And the guy grabs her and takes her back to the back office where Preston is. And Preston's like, well, we'll see if you have any money. And he snatches her purse and he starts going through it. And that's when he finds her press credentials. And so he poisons her. But what it is, it's a poison that doesn't kill. It erases their memories and turns them into a zombie, basically. That's what the synopsis said. It puts her in a zombie-like trance.
And Terry says she likes zombies.
Zombie. That was for all the zombies out there. That was Terry knows who that is. Zombie. Hey, hey. An Irish band.
I have no idea.
The Cranberries. Is that right? I don't know. Anyway, there's a moment here where Superman finds that these thugs are following Clark because they're going to take him out. And so he changes to Superman and he beats up the thugs. And then he tucks one under each arm and he goes to leap back over to the Preston Club to be all like, hey, I have your people. And as he's changing back into Clark, he's just standing out in the middle of the road. He's just like in the middle of the driveway, putting his Clark outfit back on. And here comes Lois just walking down the driveway. And Clark's like, oh, crap. Oh, well, this was bound to happen sooner or later. And that's when he realizes that she is a zombie. And he's so angry about it that he's like, I got to get Lois to a doctor, but I got to do something about these two thugs. And he throws each of these guys one at a time across the lawn and into the window of the Preston Club, which was pretty awesome. And then he takes Lois to a doctor. The doctor actually, as he's checking her out, I'm assuming I gave him a German accent because he goes, interesting, very interesting. But he decides he can't do anything for her. She's just going to remain in this state for the rest of her life. And that's when Clark takes her out of the doctor's office, and he realizes he knows what he can do to fix this. All he has to do is perform mental hypnosis. And so he looks into her eyes, and boom, fixed. Mental
from his eyes, yeah.
Mental hypnosis.
Okay.
And then he goes back to his place and just invents something called a crypto ray gun, which looks exactly like it sounds. It looks like an old school ray gun, but it's actually a camera. And it takes pictures. You shoot it like a gun, and it takes pictures, and then you can project the images that you just took with the gun onto the wall. So you don't have to go and wait for anything to develop.
Nice.
He can go click, 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 click. Here's all the gambling. Look, police officers, and then shine the pictures on the wall and show proof right away without having to. Because I'm sure photo labs back then probably took a while.
Given the technology at the time, yeah, probably quite a while.
And so then Superman does what Superman does. He goes and he takes some pictures. We have another panel of him hanging from a ledge.
This is the third one.
Is this the third one?
Yeah, back here.
Yes, it is.
Right after she zombies.
Yeah,
and he's
like they're trying to make up for the fact that they haven't done it in a while.
This is the first multiple hang story that we've had.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But he's hanging there with the crypto ray gun. He's taking pictures through the window, and then he goes inside and wrecks the place. He finds out that the reason why the mayor was in Preston's pocket is because the mayor gave his son, which is a little zombie boy, gave him the same poison he gave Lois. And Preston comes to confront the mayor, and the mayor has decided, you know what, I'm not taking any more crap from you. I know you did this to my son. You're never going to cure him, but I'm going to stand up to you. And Preston's like, no, you're not. And he kidnaps both Lois and the mayor and throws them in the back of his car. Superman shows up at the mayor's place, and the mayor's gone, and he sees the zombie son there, and mental hypnosis cures the mayor's son. Goes after Preston. Preston basically drives the car around a sharp turn that's on a cliff and leaps out of the car as it rolls off of the cliff to kill Lois and the mayor. But Superman, who again, the dude's flying, he swoops down and he grabs Lois and the mayor from the car, saving them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then he gives the crypto ray gun to Lois and says, here, show this to the police. And so then she shows it to the police. And the end. Yay.
Okay.
They saved the day. So
now, something funny, the story that I read in Action Comics 4 also had a scene where someone was forced to drink poison. And this is the first time I think we've seen that used in any of the stories. And here now it quickly becomes so popular that they use it just months apart again.
Yeah. And when he does it with Lois, he goes, here, you drink this. And she goes, no, you're going to poison me. I'm not going to drink that. And so he pulls a gun. He says, you drink this or I'm going to blow your head off. And she goes, all right, I'll drink it. And it's a good thing it didn't kill her, because I don't know, if somebody gave me a poison that I was pretty sure, I felt fairly confident that it was going to kill me. And then they said, I can shoot you in the head or you can take the poison. I take the bullet to the head.
Probably,
because that sounds like a quicker way.
Yeah, really.
The poison may, eat your insides out for 3 days before you die.
Yeah, who knows what it's going to do to you. But yeah, you would definitely think, well, this way is quick and that way probably isn't. So I'll go the quick way.
But she gambled. Yeah. See what I did there? She gambled.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
And she came out the winner this time instead of losing all that money.
She bet on poison.
This was, like I said, on the surface, it's like, it's a gambling racket that Superman's got to bust up. This is going to be one of those ho-hum basic Superman stories. But the whole poison, the zombie thing, the mental hypnosis, the freaking crypto ray gun that he just invents, they've never specifically mentioned that he's like a super genius.
Mm-hmm.
But this is at least twice now since we've started reading these Golden Age books, that he just invented something. And I think the first one was his costume. I think he mentioned that he invented the material that his costume is made out of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So he's obviously a super genius. And I know that in the Silver Age, that is one of his superpowers, that he's just a super genius.
Oh, okay.
You know, so literally everything about him is super, including
the smartest man in the room.
Doug.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah. Everything about him is super, you know. So I would have to assume that he is a super funny guy and a super romantic guy, you know, because he's super smart.
Yep. So I have this song now running through my head. I must warn you, I sense something strange in my mind, Terry. Situation is serious. BBD.
Sounds familiar.
The girl is poison.
That girl is poison.
Yeah, she's green. She drank poison. It's a female, and for some reason that song popped into my head. Now it's on repeat. Yeah,
it's not a bad song to have in your head, frankly.
It's very distracting. No, but any song when you're trying to do something like this is kind of distracting. Uh-oh, you froze. Uh-oh, I think you might have cut out completely, or maybe I did. I don't know. Terry-Ann, can you hear me? So it's Steven that is cut out. Steven's cut out. Just lost power, he said. So he's on Twitter here telling me what's going on. We might cut this one short. It's back, but I have to wait for the router to boot up. So he had a power suck, and it's back on. So he's having to wait and go through the motions of getting everything back up and going, guys. So you know, I could ham it up here quite a bit better if I had read the correct story. But to catch you up, Doug, I did not. I read the wrong story, and then Steven had some issues, some real life issues there, starting the episode today. So between the two of us, this episode is just not working well today. Not sure why. You would think after doing this 13, 14 times, we'd kind of have it down, but stuff just is coming up tonight. But I didn't read it, but I can see the art, and I do like the art. I believe Steven said that this was Mr. Jack Burnley that did this. Let me take a quick gander at the notes here. Yes, Mr. Jack Burnley. So he's definitely a different style artist, as we've said before, from Mr. Schuster. I kind of prefer Burnley's art. It's a little bit more polished, I guess would be a fair word, not to be mean about anyone's art, because just about anybody can draw better than I can. I can't draw. I use the other side of my head much more than I do the drawy, creative-y side. So that's me. Like Steven was saying, I can see where the story would start out, and you would be, well, potentially you could be kind of disappointed, because it is yet another of the, up to this point, typical looking Superman stories. You know, you have Superman, and all he's going to go up against are some hoodlums and a gambling racket. That, you know, kind of pedestrian, I guess, compared to what Superman could or should be able to do at this point. Which I will say, it's just now starting to get totally frustrating that he's not flying yet. There's just absolutely no reason for him to not be flying. Looks like Steven is getting closer and closer to being back with us there. But I think as you go through the story, because of the way that the police are used, the way the officials, the poisoning, which is a new trope, which will go on to become a trope. And the way that Lois acts and everything, they do inject enough of the different in the story to kind of take it away from, oh, it's just another Superman versus the mob story. He's campaigning, against something again because gambling is illegal, and I know it's going on, and we should stop. Yeah, so it they did inject some interesting. Plus, Superman creates his crypto ray gun, and it's a hyphen crypto hyphen ray gun. So I think they did, particularly for someone who would be reading the story at the time. I think they did enough work to kind of elevate it beyond just that baseline Superman versus the mob, to where it turned out a little bit more interesting than it could have. But it still is getting to be time for Superman to start going up against some kind of super villainy, either Earth-based or aliens or something. This is issue. Go ahead.
I was going to make a suggestion, because what you're saying almost kind of feeds into the next issue,
Okay.
the next story, but you haven't read that yet. And I feel like you really need to read that. So with everything that has happened so far tonight, in just the less than an hour, from the time I started trying to get ready for the sucks right now because of the power going out. I say we just not stop, but let's consider this a lost episode, and maybe we can throw it in at some point, as something kind of fun, and maybe plan on, I don't know, Monday or one day next week, we'll go ahead and get back together and start this all over again. That way you will have read the stories. Yeah. Hopefully my stuff will work. Crossing fingers. And so what, let's just hang out and talk about stuff.
Okay.
How does Doug and Terry feel about that? Do we care?
Can we just geek for a little while, guys? Is that okay?
Yeah, let's just geek. I finished that Hulk Epic collection. I started the other day, so getting ready to jump into the next one. That, I'll tell you what, that all those X-Men books, this freaking thing. You're reading all those X-Men books, and you've told me that there was a certain period in there, right? The Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, that was your era.
Yeah, right.
Well, this Hulk is, I wasn't buying Hulk at the time, my brother was, but I have such a nostalgic feeling for that era of the Hulk, because that's when I started reading the Hulk. And little did I know until just a couple years later that like a lot of those covers are freaking Mike Mignola, freaking Hellboy, and he does some interior on those as well. And those will lead into the John Byrne run on the Hulk, which didn't last long. Right. But he had, because John Byrne was doing Alpha Flight at the time, and it was either Al Milgrom, maybe it was Bill Mantlo, because I think that's who's been writing the Hulk.
I think it was both. I think it was the team.
Yeah.
Milgrom and Mantlo.
But they decide to swap. It's like, hey, John, why don't you come over and do the Hulk, and we'll go over and do Alpha Flight on the issues. And I don't know why he left, but his run leads into what really, I mean, there's like a series of 4 or 5 issues where the Hulk is just out in the desert, and they just send every superhero to try to stop him. And you've got like Iron Man and Wonder Man and Thor and like all the strong guys hammering on him at the same time. And it's some good stuff. That's getting very nostalgic, but I have so many of those books from that era just sitting on my Comixology shelf.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you talked about reading that, the first issue that came to my mind was Hulk 300. So obviously, it left
Yeah.
an impression on me. And unfortunately, that storyline, I guess, Doug likes Mignola or Mignola, I think, however you pronounce it. It unfortunately it was cut
Yeah.
short, that storyline, because that crossroads concept is just that has infinite possibilities. I mean, you could literally do anything with the Hulk. He could go anywhere.
Oh yeah.
And why they brought him back to
Yeah.
Earth. eh, Ultimately, he was going to come back to Earth. Yes, I mean that's going to happen. But it's like after 3 or 4 years of as a creator being able to write anything you want. I mean,
Right.
nobody really wanted to do that. So
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It was a perfect thing to set up, and you could do it with almost any character, but it was cool that they did it with the Hulk. And it's
mhm.
like there's an infinite number of worlds that you can walk into and interact with an infinite number of character types. Or we could do a robot story, we could do a fantasy story, we could do whatever, we could do the Hulk in the old West, something like that, but with alien gunslingers and junk. But
Right.
I don't know why they I don't know why they cut it off either. I don't know if it had something to do with the fact that John Byrne was going to be coming on to the Hulk,
I,
because I know he had big plans.
right.
He
I,
had
I think I've
a
read
whole
somewhere the
storyline
reason.
issues, and then editorial probably pissed him off or something. He was such a diva at times.
Well, is this about the time that he's getting ready to go over to DC? Anyways, is this in 81 or so? Isn't that when he took over Superman? 82.
Superman was 86 because
Ooh, okay. No,
it was after Crisis, and
he was
Crisis was
still at Marvel.
85.
Well, I know
Yeah,
he also had a short stint on Captain America in through
he
there
did,
somewhere, I
but
think. So
that was before. Because that's one of my books. That's one of the books that I've got lined up as well. Is that epic collection that has it's John Byrne with Roger Stern.
yes.
And again, I think it's only like a handful of issues.
Yeah, it was only
Which
like
is
about
really
five
weird. Yeah.
issues. And I think Marvel is okay. As far as Alpha Flight, it's my understanding that John Byrne really never wanted to do Alpha Flight.
Oh yeah.
He was kind of pushed into it, and then was not given an opportunity to leave until well beyond how long he wanted to stay on it to begin with.
Yeah.
And something about Mignola and the writer just left my brain, but something about their Hulk. They didn't like doing superhero, but that doesn't make sense because they went to Alpha Flight. But there was something about the Hulk that wasn't jiving with them. At
Yeah.
about the same time that John Byrne finally said, "Look, I'm fed up. I'm going to leave. So give me something to do, or I'm going to leave. I mean, something." And so they ended up switching. Funny thing is, I don't know. Do you have any knowledge of Alpha Flight at that time after Byrne left?
Yeah, I was reading Alpha Flight as it was coming out.
Okay, so they ultimately use Hulk at the Crossroads as a major plot point in Alpha Flight.
Yep.
Which is kind of funny because it's like, well,
yeah,
but you guys left the Hulk, so why are you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the issue I just finished reading today, was that Alpha Flight issue.
Okay.
That
where
they pull the Hulk out of the Crossroads because they're trying to get Walter Lankowski, and
he goes fishing and he hooks a Hulk.
They go fishing for a Sasquatch.
Yep.
And it's funny because Sasquatch was one of my favorite characters. He was one of the reasons I loved Alpha Flight so much. And there are certain characters that I only seem to enjoy if they're being drawn by certain people. And Sasquatch is one of them, because I've come across other Alpha Flight books where they've brought Sasquatch back, and it's like, It's not. He just doesn't look like the John Byrne.
No,
Sasquatch,
yeah,
so
no, not at all. John Byrne did have a certain flair with that style of character.
Yeah. What about you? What you been reading or watching or anything on your mind? Or
well, I've been making my way through X-Men books. Right now, getting into a lot of the Wolverine ongoing and the Wolverine Marvel Comics Presents. So that's like right at the end of 1989, moving into 1990. So we're steadily marching into the Silvestri X days, and then the Jim Lee X days, and then the second X book days here.
Yeah.
Very shortly that are going to be coming up. And there's a
adjectiveless or whatever
they say it. Yeah, what they used to say.
Yeah.
Adjectiveless.
Yeah, that's a weird word.
And I think there's another like one major or maybe two major X storylines in there also. I can't remember which ones occurred, but this as far as X-Men and Excalibur,
Executioner's Song, I think, was during that time.
Maybe, yeah, coming up. But about half of the books I was reading full time then when they were coming out. The other half of the books, like honestly, I never read the Wolverine standalone because I just didn't want to get into it because of how deep his history went. For so many, oh well, yeah, jump. Sitting here talking X-Men, John Byrne's rendition of virtually that entire new X team is without equal. His Storm, his Pharaoh Berserker Wolverine, his Cyclops without a visor covering with his hand trying to block the beam. Very pivotal things in the X books, particularly with certain characters. John Byrne's rendition is what comes to mind when I think of these different concepts, and that's
me too.
And I'm sure that there are big fans of Fantastic Four that can probably say the same thing. Big fans of Superman that can probably say the same thing. John Byrne definitely left his mark on those characters as well.
Yeah, you figure just with Fantastic Four and the X-Men, they I don't know how often they did it in the X-Men, but they brought a lot of other characters into the Fantastic Four books. And then of course he and Claremont did Marvel Team Up for a while. And so he's if there was a Marvel character at the time, there's a book with that character in it that he drew at some point.
Yeah, so. I would say he probably has a bullet list near as long as George Perez as far as characters that he's drawn. Maybe not as many as Perez because Perez had this propensity for the big group.
Oh, he was crazy
drawing, and I don't know if Byrne didn't necessarily like that or they just didn't have those kind of stories for him, but he didn't do that as frequently as George Perez. Yeah, good call, man. Fantastic Four and X-Men. Yeah, that's for the 80s and 90s, probably into the 2000s. That was Marvel right there. X-Men and Fantastic Four.
My stuff is just popping in and out. So speaking of Wolverine, I think there is. Speaking of Wolverine, did you see the images this week with Hugh Jackman in the cinematic Wolverine costume? What'd you think about that?
Honestly, okay. I'm not one that gets into the movie and the rumors and the snapshots of this spoiling things, and it's like, I'll see the movie when it comes out. I decided that when I heard that the movie was going to be made. So nothing that they tell me between the initial announcement and when I see it will make me want to see it anymore. I've already decided I'm going to see it. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. I don't go out there and look for stuff like that and try to get the, the behind the scenes dope, on what's going on. But there was like a day this week that freaking image was just all over the place. And I was like, oh yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I did. I saw it and I'm like, oh, he's in that costume. Okay, cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Scroll.
Yep.
It's like
Yep. And then what else did we learn about that movie? Who did we learn just this week that is also going to be
a female?
Yeah.
What female is going to be in it? Electra. Jennifer Garner.
Electra, that's right. You guys were talking about it last night on Boom Addiction.
Yeah. Jennifer Garner Electra is going to be in it. I'm sure among others, because it sounds like they're doing another either another multiverse kind of thing or a bunch of cameo kind of thing or something. So I'm sure that there will be 10 or 15 that we recognize and another 8 or 10 that are like Easter egged in there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's the new hotness.
And that's fine.
That's what they do now. It's the new thing.
More interesting to me though was Nathan Killian being Guy Gardner. I don't see that.
Guy Gardner, yeah.
I don't see Killian.
First
playing
of all,
any
Guy
of the Green Lantern.
I know that at one point his name came up a lot for Hal Jordan. I don't know that I agree with that either. I think he did the voice of Hal Jordan in one of the animated direct-to-DVD animateds, and that was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, Guy Gardner, I mean, it'll be interesting. Again, it's another one of those things, like you said, I'm going to see the movie anyway. And, they released this casting information. We got this guy and this person that's going to be in the new Superman 17 years from now, so
yeah, really.
But Guy Gardner, he's a ginger warrior. So I wanted to see a redhead actually playing him, but oh well.
And I know what it is that people want the Nathan Killian that was in that Space Cowboy show. Boom
Firefly.
does the books. Yes, Firefly. That's who they want him to be. But in my mind, Nathan Killian is the rookie and the mystery writer. Those are the shows that I know him
from.
I
didn't watch that show.
I'm like, neither one of those characters are Guy Gardner. So I don't know,
Yeah, see, I didn't watch either of those, but I watched the crap out of Firefly. I've seen those episodes numerous times. So thinking of his character in Firefly as Guy Gardner, oh yeah, totally. I mean, I think he'll make a pretty good Guy Gardner. It's just that that's not maybe who I would have. Frankly, I just wish they would just get a bunch of people that we've never heard of before, who can just act their asses off and get in there and get the job done. And you're not spending the time going, hey, look, it's so-and-so playing this role, and you're just enjoying the movie.
And perhaps more importantly, you're not spending the money to get that person.
Yeah. I will say that the guy that they cast for Superman and the actress they cast for Lois, I've never heard of either of those. I have no idea who those people are. So, yeah.
And, I think we're getting to the point that maybe that's what we need to start doing, because these older actors and actresses, like, for instance, I just don't know how well Jennifer Garner in her late 40s is going to pull off Elektra. That's,
probably about as well as Harrison Ford in his mid 70s.
Well,
pull off Indiana Jones.
I was going to say you're going to need to CGI some stuff, I would imagine.
Yeah, so, a lot of special effects. Yep.
And so, given that, it's like, well, then what's the point? Just go ahead and turn over that leaf now. Yeah. Get these people that we're talking about started somewhere. Give new actors and actresses, this is their starting somewhere. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and after a while, it's like some of these folks, it's like, okay, how many different franchises are we going to put this person in before we just give somebody else a chance?
Yeah, that's yes, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there seems to be this reliance on the core actors and actresses, and then beyond that, it's like, no, we don't go too far beyond those. So it's like, well, at some point, you're going to lose believability. Like a lot of people are talking about Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. It's like, we want that Indy. This Indy is not that Indy.
No.
So.
Yeah. I don't remember at all as a kid watching Indiana Jones going, man, I hope he's still doing this when he's 70, because that would be awesome. I guess it's nice that, I don't know. I would love them to continue to make Indiana Jones movies as long as they have great stories to tell, but they need to do, James Bond does it. You don't have the same guy playing James Bond for 100 years.
Yep.
There's precedents for this, and the studios, they're banking on, but the studios know really that what's going to sell the tickets, Indiana Jones or Harrison Ford. And
there will be people that buy tickets for both reasons, and they want both of those, is what to do. Changing actors, what you're talking, look at Doctor Who.
Yeah.
There is no way that we could have only had 2 or 3 actors do that for 100 years that they've done it. So it's like, and so knowing that, they built in the ability to just change actors. It's like, we know we're going to need to do this. It's science fiction. Just build it.
And that's what's great about that character, is that was not originally part of who that character was. At some point, the actor was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And they're like, well, but we want to keep doing these shows. So how can we put somebody else as Doctor Who and make it make sense, And so they invented this regeneration thing, and it's great. I love it.
Yep. And not only that, but they gave it a limit. But then when they reached that limit, they're like, oh no, we got to change it. And so they changed it again. And it's like, okay, in that kind
shit,
of,
I didn't think we'd get here.
Yeah. We went through 13 actors already. Shit. It's like, So, Indiana Jones.
Who'd have thought that a show about a time traveling? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think they really missed the bus not getting Brandon Fraser to take over for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
That's he still may have had the life troubles that he ran into, and so conceivably he could still be, as Indiana Jones, the same place that he is now as far as his life and acting career and what, there's no way to tell. But of movies that came out, nobody showed that they could take that part over better than Brendan Fraser did. I mean, just without a doubt.
Yeah. I remember seeing The Mummy for the first time and thinking, this is the Encino Man guy, he's going to be an action hero. No. And it blew me away.
Yep. Yeah. He did.
Was really good.
He did excellent in those movies. And now somebody telling me that dude is Robot Man in Doom Patrol, I'm like, no, there's no way. But it's like, way. That's Brendan Fraser.
I don't know where you are in regard to your Marvel watching, but are you at Secret Invasion yet?
Yeah, we're caught up except for this week. I think we haven't watched this week's episode yet.
Okay. Yeah, I watched that last night, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, which dropped yesterday, I think. So.
It's been pretty good.
And speaking of streaming, Terry Ann, if you're still on here, the last 2 episodes of Jack Ryan dropped this morning. So we have 2 episodes, and then that's it.
Yeah, I've been watching that too.
Oh yeah, I enjoy it, but
I do,
Terry
yeah.
really, really digs it.
Yeah, I like it. I was a big fan of the books back in the day. I read them up to a certain point because in the freaking books, he of course starts out as this CIA analyst, and then he moves up the ranks, and eventually he becomes the freaking president of the United States.
Speaking
But
of Harrison
I think
Ford,
that's yeah, right. Gonna be president in the Marvel universe. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think we deserve. Remember, there's a what is it? 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I think we need like a 6 degrees of Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Yeah, he was on an Apple TV show a few months back called Shrinking, where he played he wasn't the main character, but he played a supporting character, and he was a therapist, and he was so funny in that. And recently he was on the Conan O'Brien podcast, and he was so funny on that as well.
Okay.
He's a very funny guy.
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. Did you need something? Oh, well, that's pretty stupid, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. We had these newborn kittens. Two of them, and the mother just gave up, abandoned the two of them. And we ended up bringing them both inside and got the kitten formula and the little bottles and stuff, and took care of them for a couple, take them to the shelter so they could go with a foster family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now she's out there, the mom, nursing the larger kittens that were born a few months ago. So
okay, well, you got to do something with that milk. It's not going to nurse itself. So
yeah. But hopefully I'll have a new episode of Hither Came Conan out tomorrow.
Cool. That'll be Marvel number 8.
Number 8.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see that you got some feedback for 5, 6, and 7?
Over on the website?
Yes.
I did include your feedback for issue 7. It will be a part of this episode that'll come out tomorrow. Okay. I didn't do 5 and 6. You know what? It's funny because nobody leaves comments on that on any of my websites. It's very rare. I mean, if you look at the history of comments on the Steven or Else website, the last one that was left was by you in like 2018. So
okay. Well, and see, I would use one of the other social medias, but you didn't post all 3 of those episodes to the same social media.
Huh, really?
So yeah, I think
that's crazy.
5 or 6 you didn't post on Twitter. You just missed posting it. So I was thinking, well, where can I go that all 3 of them are at? And I'm like, well, you can go to the source. And so that's why I went to the website.
Speaking of which, because I almost emailed you about it the other day, but I'm gonna pull up those comments because one of them I had a question about.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn by telling you I left comments, but I didn't know how frequently you would see comments on the website itself. So I didn't know what to do. I'm like,
it's it's very hard. It's very easy to miss comments over there, which is really stupid. The only reason I even noticed what
uh-oh. Are you there? Sounds like you're dropping out again. Are you back? Oh.
I think so. See, I tried to open up another website and everything just went.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so
there's a huge lag now.
But if you can hear this, if for anybody who is used to using Blogger, there's the dashboard which has your list of your blog posts, which all of my websites, they're just Blogger because that's what I'm used to using. And on the list of posts, there's like a little you have a little icon for like it's an eyeball, and then it'll tell you so that tells you how many people have looked at that post. Right. And then there's one that's a little word balloon, and it'll have a number next to it, and that means that this is how many comments. And I'm just so used to those always showing 0 that I don't really ever pay attention to that section. And I just happened to notice the other day, I was like, what the flip? And usually, to be honest with you, when I do see that there's a comment over there on the website, I go to look and it's spam. So that's what I expected. Right. I was like, it's just probably spam anyway. And it's like, damn, Ed left comments on all 3 of these episodes. But I think it was for issue 5. You had said something about the tiger lady.
Let me see if I can get to it, and I'll
tasting his flesh or something. And
yes, that's all she had to do to fall in love with him.
Yeah,
is taste his flesh. Okay, yeah,
he's Conan. I just listened to one of the Robert E. Howard stories today, where at the end of the story, it's one of those. There were a certain number of stories that he wrote that they refer to as his middle period, where he was basically writing for the market. He knew that he could sell stories if he wrote about Conan in like a ruined city with monsters protecting a hot babe. And that's the number of his stories are like that, because there was a period of time where he's like, I need money, and I know that these types of stories will sell, so that's what I'm going to write. And this was one of those. And at the end, he's the girl's talking to him, and he goes, why don't you just come over here and kiss me? And she's like, you've got some balls on you, basically, to think that I'm even attracted to you. And he just reaches out and grabs her and just forces himself on her, just kissing her. And eventually she goes, and just swoons and starts kissing him back. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, really.
But that's what dudes thought happened, back in the 30s.
Yeah, I guess.
But that was funny. It's like, oh, Conan. Terry is saying yay for some reason.
About Jack Ryan, probably.
Oh yeah, that's a good show. I'm caught up on that. I haven't watched these 2 obviously that popped up today, but I'm looking forward to finishing that up. And Ding Chavez in this season.
Who is that?
Domingo. He's the guy from Ant-Man.
Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Which is funny. That dude in the first Ant-Man movie and this dude, it's like, no, those are
just 2 completely opposite. Yeah, opposite people. It's like evil universe and good universe.
Yeah, something. That's
like Kirk in a goatee. That's what that's like. But yeah, he was there was a character that they introduced in one of the books named John Clark, who is basically your Wetworks kind of spy. If they needed somebody to go in and kill somebody, they'd send John Clark in, and he ended up working with this young Latino guy named Domingo. They called him Ding. And then he ended up writing a book called Rainbow Six, which starred the 2 of them and became a huge video game success.
Yes.
I know more people that know the video game and had no idea it used to be a book.
That's, yeah. Okay. That's interesting to say, because earlier this week, I've reached my final level of frustration from people. I was following a thread on Twitter, and it was comic book people talking about how they were first introduced to certain properties. And no one in the thread, and there were 15, 20 people talking, no one in the thread said, oh, well, I first ran into them in the comic book.
Yeah.
It was all
Yeah.
from, the cartoons or the movie or the animated TV. I'm like, guys, what about you knew comic books were out there. You had no interest in,
No.
and I say that because my first introduction to these, and I guess it was the time, was through comic books
Yeah.
because they weren't in these other places.
Yeah.
So, that's where you found out about them. And I just, it's like, wow, I don't know. I just got frustrated. I wanted to poll and see what the average age of these people were, but I believe I know how that would have gone. So it's like, just.
Well, and that's funny because for most of the comic book characters that I love, the first time I ran into them were in the comics. But my top 2 most favorite superheroes in the world, number 2 being Spider-Man and number 1 being Superman. I first ran into Superman through the Super Friends on TV. And I first ran into Spider-Man because of the Spidey Super Stories on the Electric Company. For a long time, I just thought Spider-Man couldn't talk because of those Spidey Super Stories.
Okay.
I was quite shocked when I learned that Spider-Man could actually speak, because he always just did the word balloons. It just go boing in that Spidey Super Stories.
Now, that's interesting. The Super Friends, maybe, but how many people now even know about Spidey Super Stories in the Electric Company? That's so.
They even there was a character on the Electric Company called the Blue Beetle. Had no affiliation with the actual comic book character, but he was I just remember he was a guy that dressed up like a Blue Beetle. He was a superhero, but he didn't want to actually do anything. He was lazy and didn't want to get involved. And his big thing was but from what I remember, because it's been forever since I've seen any of them, the thing that I always remember is this little song. Well, I would if I could, but I can't, so I won't. And he would, Blue Beetle, there's the house is on fire. You got to go save that kitten. Well, I would if I could, but I can't, so I won't.
How about this? Electric Company Easy Reader. Who was that actor?
Morgan Freeman, baby. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, there's a certain generation of people that's like, at some point, they were like, holy crap, that's the guy from the Electric Company in the new freaking Robin Hood movie.
Yeah, whatever movie. It's all that. Yeah.
That's like the first time. So, God, what's his name? Matthew McConaughey. The first movie I ever saw Matthew McConaughey in was Dazed and Confused. Have you ever seen that one?
I don't think so. I remember it, but I don't believe I've ever seen it.
It's set in 1976. He plays a character by the name of Wooderson, who is an adult who hangs out with all these high school kids. And he's got a mustache, and he's a caricature. And we used to, when I was in my mid to early 20s, we'd get high all the time and watch movies like Dazed and Confused and Mallrats and Clerks and stuff like that. But we had seen Dazed and Confused over and over and over. And then one day, a buddy of mine and I are in a movie theater, and they play this preview for what was that? The first lawyer movie he was in with Sam Jackson. And I don't remember the name of that movie, but my buddy, we're watching this trailer, and I didn't recognize him. Suddenly, my buddy just starts slapping me. Dude, that's Wooderson. And I just was like, holy crap, that's Wooderson. Who is, his big line from Dazed and Confused is he asks one of these teenagers, hey, how's that new crop of freshman girls looking? And they're like, Wooderson, you're going to go to jail one of these days. He goes, hey, that's what I like about these high school girls, man. I keep getting older. They stay the same age. That's what kind of character that guy was.
Yikes. Looking at the cast list.
Then, now he's like a big sex symbol.
Mila Jovovich was in that. Cole Hauser was in that.
She doesn't speak. Yup.
Ben Affleck was in that. Parker Posey
one of his
was
first.
in that.
Yeah.
Renee Zellweger was in that. Oh, dude, that is a pivotal early 90s movie right there.
Yeah, and for a lot of them, it was like some of their first stuff.
It would have had to have been. Yeah.
It's I always like to say compare it. It's like it's like American Graffiti, but in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. There's those. Every 8 or 10 years, there's that one movie that has all the new people, like we've talked about in it. And 15 years later, all those new people are the big names, and they all lead back to this one movie that, was their first speaking role or their first starring role or whatever. And yeah.
Ben Affleck plays a real asshole in that one, and then he plays an asshole in Mallrats, and Kevin Smith likes to say that because he put Ben Affleck as the leading role in Chasing Amy, he was destined to play the asshole and the villain until Kevin Smith had the good idea to make him a leading man.
I think the first time I really noticed Ben Affleck was in the movie that he wrote with his buddy that had Robin Williams in it.
Good Will Hunting, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the first Ben Affleck, and the first other dude,
Matt Damon.
Yeah, that's the first movie I remember. Well, no, Matt Damon wasn't he in Eating Gilbert Grape?
I don't think so.
Who was the kid in the tree?
The Titanic dude.
Yes, you're right. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. As a young kid in that movie.
My wife likes to tell, her the first time she ever saw Matt Damon was in the movie Mystic Pizza, and he was like a teenager, maybe a little bit older than that. I think the first time I saw Matt Damon was in, he had a small part in Mr. Pizza.
Oh,
I think it was his first.
That's Julia Roberts, but okay.
Yep.
I think that's Julia Roberts' first movie.
I think so too, yeah. But I think the first movie I saw him in was Geronimo.
Okay.
But I recently went back and watched all of the not all. I don't want to say I watched all the Kevin Smith movies because he's made a few movies that I've just never seen. Mm-hmm. But I was one of those huge Kevin Smith fans in the 90s.
Oh yeah, I was too.
I recently finally got a chance to watch Clerks 3, which I really quite enjoyed. It's kind of funny. I was telling my wife about it because when Clerks 2 was available to rent, I watched it, and I remember the first half of that movie going, this is really good. This has got the potential to turn out to be just this really sweet movie where Dante falls in love and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And then next thing you know, they got this donkey show going on, and I just couldn't do it anymore with him. I think that's the movie that I just stopped watching Kevin Smith for a long time. Okay. Well, with Clerks 3, the whole first half of that, I was like, ugh, here we are back to his, he's the man's got a daughter, but by the end of it, I was in tears. It was a good movie. But it then made me want to go back and watch all his other, I guess, Jay and Silent Bob movies again.
Yeah. I've seen all those. It's the I haven't seen Tusk. I haven't seen Yoga Hosers. Nope. I haven't seen Dude and Chick Make a Porno.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. I think Red State is the only other one.
Yeah, I haven't seen Red State.
Unless you include Cop Out, which he didn't write.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But he directed.
I don't consider that one of his.
Yeah.
But yeah, mainly the Jay and Silent Bob movies. I've seen, except for Clerks 3. I haven't seen Clerks 3 yet, but I've seen.
If you enjoyed any of those movies, you'll like Clerks 3. It's really, it's like if you've seen the trailer, it's Randall decides to make a movie about their lives at the Quick Stop, and basically he's making Clerks. There are a lot of scenes where they're filming scenes that were scenes from Clerks, and they're literally remaking the scene right there in the movie. It's really kind of fun, but I'm not even gonna tell you how it ends. I was just tears.
Does somebody die?
I'm not gonna tell you. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Okay. I'm gonna talk about that movie real quick.
Oh, okay.
Because you brought up Good Will Hunting.
Okay.
One of my favorite scenes in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is the Good Will Hunting 2 scene.
Yes.
Applesauce, bitch.
Yeah.
And just the way Ben Affleck's so funny in that. He's like, well, I don't know. What are we going to do?
Yep.
And he makes that, they make that joke about first you make your safe picture, then you can make your art picture. Then you got to make those movies for the friend of yours because you owe them. And then they both look at the camera because he says, he says the Jay and Silent Bob reboot was made after he had his heart attack, and he said that he used his heart attack to guilt. Stupid slow internet. We got 5 people watching right now, and if you've joined us late,
your internet's
we had such
up.
such technological problems, mostly on my end, that we decided to give up on recording Superman Super Show episodes, and we're just talking. This will eventually come out as an episode at some point.
We're shooting the poo.
But yeah, we are.
Me too. That was an awesome movie. He was hilarious. That's Doug.
Doug's a wise man.
Doug seems to have a lot of experiences and tastes in common with you and me and Chris Parton. So he is our fourth in absentia, I think.
Doug's got his head on straight.
Yep. Unlike all these kids that are always pissing us off. Billy D! What up, dog? Billy D, just to give you a heads up.
Hey, man, Billy D.
Probably getting ready to cut off here in just a few.
We are, right? See, it's just another brick in the wall of shit that was tonight. It's like all this, just the way it started, and the fact that you read the wrong stories, and all my shit not working. And then it just also happens to be the night that we've had probably the most people watching live.
Yeah. It was doomed to be the most people watching us that we've had. Yeah. So it's like, okay.
Well, people love watching a car wreck.
A comedy of errors. That's what I tuned in for.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else. There's a new show on Apple TV called Hijack with Idris Elba, which is really good.
Okay.
Just your basic plane being hijacked, and he's a passenger that has to survive. It's pretty good. And I'm really happy that I get to watch some Jack Ryan. Get that finished up. I'm sad that there's not gonna be any more.
Hopefully they'll take that actor and do some movies with him in that same vein, because he is killer in those roles.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Whenever I'm watching one of the episodes and one of my girls walk into the room, because both of them are just huge fans of The Office, I always want to say, see, this is Jim decided that working in the paper industry didn't suit him anymore, so he became a spy.
Right. He became first an analyst with the CIA, and then what is he this one? The interim assistant director or something like that?
Deputy director, something like that.
Yeah. It's like, dude.
Yeah. That character has been played by so many different actors. Alec Baldwin in Hunt for Red October.
Right.
Harrison Ford played him in 2 movies.
Right.
Chris Pine played him in Ben Affleck played him in a movie.
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember Chris Pine. Yeah. Oh, wow, that was really freaky. You froze, and then when the video kicked on,
did my head just disappear?
Yeah, it did this really satanic thing, man. It was like, oh, hey, there's a junior.
That's my socksy. Is it with cats and sticking their butts in your face?
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
That's a good sign. Oh, eyeball.
You got any comics to talk about, Socks?
They're getting ready to come out with the new Garfield compendium. You can look forward to that.
Yeah, so that, I was way into Garfield when I was a kid. I had a lot of the books, the collections of the strips.
Mm-hmm. Rubbing up against that camera. Can't do that.
Socks, come on.
Can't support the rubbing. Can't mark the camera. Or not mark, scent. Can't scent the camera.
Yeah, and this thing is just barely sitting up there because normally I use my phone, but since I couldn't find the cradle for my earbuds, I couldn't use the phone. And the tripod that goes to this camera is, I don't know where the hell it went, so I just got it perched up on something. What a day. What a day.
Sounds like it.
All right. Well, we should probably start wrapping it up. I got to go pick up my daughter from work, get us some late dinner.
Weehaw.
Yeah.
What are you going to get for dinner?
It's I don't know if you got them where you're at. It's a chicken place called Slim Chickens.
Oh. Is it like Kentucky Fried?
Kind of. It's mostly chicken fingers and chicken sandwiches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's pretty good. They got fried mushrooms, which is always a plus. Anytime you can get some fried mushrooms, that's always a good deal. I've kind of stopped. I mean, I don't want to say I stopped my diet, but while I'm still not drinking soda and I'm not eating a lot of sugar, I've been eating a lot of breaded stuff recently, and I just don't really care.
Uh-oh.
I'll survive.
It's going to show the next time you go in, man.
I haven't been in a while. It's
Gotcha.
Reached that point in the insurance where you haven't met the deductible yet, and so it ends up being so much now a month that it's like I can't afford to do that right now.
Can't do that. Yep.
Yeah, it's just a crazy thing in this world that living well, healthy is more expensive than living like shit.
Yeah, that's everything. Food is more expensive for good food, and it's But yet they bitch at you if you don't, but then they make it so hard to do. And it's like, you can only do one or the other, guys. Pick a side.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I like I can see just a bit of your shirt. I like it. It's a job for Superman.
Yep. The wife got the shirt for me, so I'd have a shirt to wear while we recorded this. And of course the hat too. So
yeah. I went into a convenience store the other day, and I go up to the counter and I'm paying for my stuff, and the girl behind the counter just out of the blue, she goes, "Have you seen the new Flash movie?" And I said, no, I haven't seen it. And she goes, "It's so good. The new Transformers is good too." And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what is it about me that she just automatically thinks I'm a geek? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm wearing my Spider-Man hat and my Batman shirt.
Okay, there you go. You're mixing the geek. Yep.
That's right. I was fully geeked out. So yeah, it's not like she could just sniff out, oh, this guy's a nerd.
Yeah, really. Him. Oh, it smells like geek.
Yeah. Smells like geek in here. Somebody open a window.
No doubt.
It's like a comic book conventions. They smell like geek. Woo.
Yep.
Woo. The sweaty nerds together, cramming a big hole, and Jesus Christ. Thing just busted out again. Billy D, bye. Doug, bye. Terry, bye. Everybody else who's on, bye. I'm gonna stop the broadcast.
Bye, guys.